Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Animaking 3. And I'm back with part 4 of What If Naruto Broke His Chakra Limiter. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also guys, if you haven't check it out yet, I posted a brand new episode of What If Naruto Was Maharaga Reincarnation. So go ahead, check out that, and yeah guys, enjoy. And remember, if you're new, yes I indeed have 3 channels which I post What If on every single day for you guys to enjoy. All the links will be down in the description, so go ahead, check them out guys, and enjoy each and every one of them, and become a part of the Animaking family. So without further ado or wasting more time, how about we jump right into this brand new episode. Let us begin now guys. So the last part we left off. After arriving towards Uzumaki Island after being transported to this strange place that seemed to have no way out, Naruto was looking around, trying to understand what was going on. When he came across a giant golem, and after defeating that, he came across a crystal, and inside was a girl a few years older than him. She was sealed inside. A seal program came up as a man known as Kage Uzumaki spoke, as if Naruto knew him, as Naruto realized it was a pre-recorded message. As the man said that he sealed his daughter down here, he allowed his emotions and his feelings to step in front of her and his duty as well. He couldn't help it though. It was his daughter that was sealed inside. As the man spoke, despite knowing that the words were not to him, it felt like the man was talking to him, telling him that the clan can be rebuilt. Their people can rise once again. Her name was Asuna. The moment the message was over, she was released. Upon her being released, well, things changed drastically as she attacked Naruto, believing him to be one of the enemies. But as she made her way outside, she was astonished, appalled by what she witnessed. As she searched, trying to find anyone close by, but she couldn't see anyone. She was so confused, trying to understand just what in the world was going on. But there was no one there, no one nearby. As she searched and called out their names, but no one answered her because they were all gone. However, she had no understanding that she was inside of that crystal for many years now. As Naruto spoke to her, they spoke for a long while as she felt so hopeless. She was on the verge of giving up and giving in, but Naruto was there as a constant to keep her, well, going strong. As he left to get something to eat, she was afraid, believing that she wouldn't have anyone left, but Naruto came back, smiling at her, as the island had produced a lot of fruits. So with that, Naruto was staying here now, trying to help her through the tragedy that she was just now living, despite the fact that they were all already gone. As Naruto stayed there with her to help her through it all. The more time they spent together, the more she learned about him, as Naruto did not want her to focus on the burden of her past. When he told her about his unlimited chakra, she was confused. It turns out that her father was one of the main leading experts in Fuinjutsu. That is where she get her thirst for understanding from. She was able to find out something that none of the others were able to. It was the fox. Somehow, Naruto's body had destroyed the fox, allowing it to blend and merge with his own chakra, giving his chakra the sentience that the fox once possessed, and said chakra was now actively keeping him safe and protecting him. This was something she's never seen or witnessed before, but here it was right in front of her as she was truly amazed. As she realized that, the more he learned, the more he understood, the more unstoppable he would become. Throughout their time there as months passed by, Naruto's actions started to draw unwanted attention by many. As rumors started to spread, there were a group that was sent there from the Hidden Stone, being the first to know about this because of the proximity of the way the land was turned. So with that, a group was sent there to investigate on what was going on. Pretending like they were stuck at sea, they arrived. However, the problem was, it was in this moment Naruto realized just how ruthless this world was. They tried to kill Asuna, which angered Naruto greatly. Naruto transformed. That was basically what it was, as he was infused by so much power. He became a different being entirely. He eviscerated them. He wiped them out. Even Asuna killed someone right there and then. She's never actually killed anyone before, but her father taught her how to disassemble and demolish those with hand-to-hand combat. As she calmed Naruto down and told him that she was alright. However, they had to leave. As strong as Naruto was, there would be too much of them. As word would be quickly sent back, and she knew that. Naruto wondered about the library that they had. However, she told him that the only reason why he entered was because her father allowed any Uzumaki to enter. Willingly, not forcefully of course. However, once she had this, as she pulled out a Fuinjutsu key, she could lock it, and it would simply vanish. It turns out that the library was not on the same plane of existence that they were on. Naruto was amazed by that, and thus they left, leaving underwater. As Naruto created that ear pocket that allowed them to get away from all of the others before they even noticed. Jiraiya arrived a few days later after receiving news, but the place was swarming with the enemy. Knowing that things can quickly turn hassle, he decided that the kids had probably run away by now because they had found nothing, as rumors reached Kage as well. Turns out that there was some Uzumakis out there, and one of them possessed phenomenal powers that could literally rewrite the entire understanding of strength in the elemental nation. Sometime later we find Naruto and Asuna, both of them looking different, having changing their hair color and their eye color. Naruto marks being gone, as both of them were destined to become stronger. And also something else. From what she saw, some of their members survived, and they were out there somewhere. She wasn't talking about the ones that were probably old by now, but their children, as she knew that the Uzumaki blood would never truly fall, but they were probably so scared, so afraid. But they would find them and bring them back home. So yeah guys, basically as we left off, you guys can switch across to the place, check it out for yourself. So we jump right into this brand new episode. Let's begin now guys. We begin this new episode with Hiruzen Sarutobi, as he was currently residing within the office. It wasn't too long ago, 3 months back to be quite exact, that this generation graduated. It brought back thoughts knowing that Naruto should have been part of this generation. 6 years. That is how long it has been since Naruto fled away from the Hidden Leaf. The child was supposed to be 13 now, and being on a team, being a valuable member and shinobi of the Hidden Leaf village. But for 6 long years, Jiraiya has been on the search, and he was unable to find even a thread of anything related to Naruto since the attack on the Land of Whirlpool a few years back, when it is said that 2 Uzumakis were spotted there, which led to a group of stone shinobis being eviscerated by one of them. From the information that Jiraiya got, it was Naruto, but when he got there, Naruto was nowhere to be found. Who was the other Uzumaki, he wondered, but that has been for naught, as he has not gotten a link, anything regarding Naruto for the past 6 years. Jiraiya was losing hope that the kid was alive. The both of them felt like they failed Minato, which they did. They failed Minato and Kushina by not watching over their son and keeping him safe. Hiruzen sighed. Other than that, there has been a great tragedy. The Grass Village. A large percentage of their ninjas had been killed. 80% a couple years ago. That unknown attack had left many confused and many pain and suffering. Given the large amount of their forces that were wiped out, the village was struggling right now. They had no ties to Konoha or anything, but they did reach out to their allies that they did have. But even then, they were still struggling despite the years that passed. Hiruzen had no idea what could have caused this. However, whatever caused it was causing unstir within the elemental nation. The world might be at peace now, but it just takes one fuse to be lit for chaos to explode in the elemental nation. As Hiruzen's eyes gazed up towards the photo that was displayed upon the wall, he looked away in guilt. That wasn't the only thing that has taken place as well. The land of Yetis, the land of Whirlpool, was now under complete control by the Hidden Stone. After the great tragedy that had fallen there, no one had taken their time to even do anything with the 3 islands that were now deserted and empty. However, after the Uzumakis were spotted there, the stone members realized the great produce that the land was currently being hit with. The fruits, the plants there, everything was top of the line. And over the past couple of years, it had been rather profitable to them. It was a disgrace for them to do something like this, them being a part of the main forces that slaughtered the Uzumakis in the past. Konoha could have gotten in control and taken liberty over the land. However, in respect of the fallen Uzumakis, Hiruzen did not allow anything like that to happen, and the land had been sieged now by the Hidden Stone. There were talks within the council room that they should do something about that. However, they had no precedent to actually do something. They did not own it. However, they could gain majority of control, but it would lead to some kind of all-out battle. Hiruzen had no doubt about that. He knew how stubborn Oniki was, and given that this was proving profitable to them. However, at the moment, Konoha was not lacking in funds. It was quite the opposite, because of their booming economy and their ninjas performing spectacularly on missions. They have gotten missions from other regions. Even the Wind Daimyo even sent them a couple of missions. So Hiruzen decided to just let this go, as he decided to take the peaceful road and not allow any calamities to take place because of one action. He just hoped, if Naruto was alive out there, that he was somewhere where people cared about him and that he was happy. And if he was not, Hiruzen had great regrets that he wasn't able to protect him. As he looked up to the heavens and apologized once again to Minato and Kushina, despite how much time he did it, he still felt this overwhelming amount of guilt. Given everything they sacrificed, they deserved to have their final wish met. However, he failed to accomplish that. He was not the only one thinking that way. Jiraiya of the Sannin was looking a bit rough. He had grown out his beard a bit. Jiraiya had been a very miserable man. Yes, he carried on with his perverted nature, yes. He did all sorts of things that make you think that he was happy, but deep down he was unhappy, unfulfilled. To him, every notion in his life was a failure. He failed to be a father. He failed to be a loving husband. He failed to protect the people that he cared about. He failed to get the woman that he was in love with. Yes, his life has been a failure. The only outcome that he could say that he had was his books, which was mostly just perverted novels. However, this last one hit him hard. He always knew that Naruto was there. He believed that when the time was right, he would be the one to go there and create a bond and forge with the kid, but now that Naruto was gone, it hit him hard. Made him realize just how much of a failure he was. They named him the boy's godfather, and he failed to protect the boy. His search has proven to be a waste of time. It didn't matter what he did, it seems like Naruto had fallen off the face of the earth. He was just gone, nowhere to be found. And there wasn't much that Jiraiya could do about that, as he couldn't find the boy. Meanwhile, at the Land of Whirlpool, Kitsuki, son-in-law to the teacher Kage, Oniki was currently residing. The land had been turned around. They had a lot of years to accomplish this. There were a couple of stone houses that were now residing there. It was the forest, the vast trees, everything about it. They produced high quality fruits that were being, sold at a rapid rate. The sweetness of their mangoes and all sorts of things were proven to be a delicacy. It never occurred to anyone that the land would produce such a fine quality of things out of the destruction and death in the past because they were allied to Konoha. No one had made a move to siege said land. But after all these years and with Konoha gaining a reputation for being soft, Oniki had chosen to make a bold move, as he wouldn't allow something like this to just remain docile. As there were many people around working, they even had ninja huts, because they knew that many would try to make the mistake of sieging this for their own after they have sieged it already. That is why Kitsuki was there, as he was the one that was in charge of this operation. He was bringing fine results to Oniki, and Oniki was quite pleased by his work. So yes, everything was going rather well, as Kitsuki was walking down toward the shore, making his way, looking towards the boats where the guards were situated to make sure to see any boats coming in from a long distance away. That was the great thing about this place. They could see their enemies approaching from a far distance away. However, thus far no one had made a move, knowing that it would lead to a very bad international incident. Even Konoha has remained docile, given their close ties to the Uzumaki, but it wasn't like they owned the island. However, given their close ties to the clan, if anyone was to take it, it would be them. However, Hiruzen had remained and not made a move for years now, so Oniki decided to step in, as the land was now his, and it was proven to be more than profitable than he thought. However, Kitsuki had a bad feeling. He didn't know what it was. That is why he was checking the guard posts. He had a bad feeling from this morning that something just wasn't right, that something was going to happen. But so far the day has been going rather well, and their harvest was coming along rather well. He had to say he had no idea why all the fruits on this island were producing such a vast quantity. Maybe it was because they were literally on an island. The three of them were being quite productive. Their village was situated in rocky areas, so they were never the top in produce sale or anything like that. But now here they were, on top of the market, as they were spreading, little by little. Soon enough they will conquer it, as that made him rather proud. The censors were the first one to sense it, as word immediately started to spread. Kitsuki looked up into the heavens. He shouted at them to move. His people scattered as something smashed down on the island. Everyone immediately scampered back to their feet, those that were knocked to the ground. Was that a meteor? Kitsuki wondered as he made his way. Him and the others grouped up around as they looked down into the trench that the meteor created. However, it wasn't a meteor, it was a person. Said person vanished with pure speed, as he was now standing on the very edge, right in front of one of the stone ninjas. The shinobi was confused and also terrified as well, at a speed that he could not even understand. Before he could even react, the person moved their hand, and a gaping hole was left in the chest of the ninja. All of them were shocked. Their body crumbled to the ground. Kitsuki wasted no time and slammed his hands down, causing the earth that the individual stand on to plunder down. Once that was said, he quickly whipped out a roll of explosives and threw them downwards. The others moved as he ignited them. There was a thunderous blast that went up, however, the next moment the blast vanished. It simply disappeared. Kitsuki was confused. What the hell? He said, as the person stepped forward out of the dust that they kicked up, and they were finally able to see the person rather clearly. He possessed long spiky hair that stopped at his shoulders, two bangs running down the side of his face. When Kitsuki first saw the person, he was shocked. Yellow flash? He said with a shocked look on his face. The man looked so much like Minato Namikaze. But that is when he saw the marks on his cheek. He had 3 strange whisker marks on both of his cheek. Kitsuki then remembered what the last survivor of the first platoon of people that came here to see the Uzumakis told him and the Kage. But that's impossible. From what the description the man gave, that child was no older than 7 years old. But this person seemed to be in their late teens, 16 to 19, in that range. So this could not be the person. If that person was 7, he should be at least 13. Who the hell was this then? He did not speak his eyes. His crystal blue eyes simply observed everything around him. The more he looked, the anger he seemed to got. Judging from the discomfort and rage that was currently being shown on his face. However, he calmed himself down. His gaze focused towards him as Kitsuki stood tall, not showing any fear towards his person. Kitsuki, he spoke, in a very mature voice. Who the hell are you? Kitsuki said. I will send him your head, the blonde said. Kitsuki immediately got ready to fight upon hearing that. The others immediately attacked, allowing the civilians that were here for the harvesting to get away. They rushed in from all angles, blazing through hand sign. They first tried to trap him as they sunk the entire area, causing him to fall. They then sped through hand sign once again before slamming their hand down, causing massive earth spikes to jet out of the hole, with the sole intention of impaling him. However, he stopped. His feet touched down on the spike, but he wasn't falling anymore. He was flying. He slowly started to ascend before he looked toward the spikes and held his hand out. Slowly, they watched in shock as the spikes were ripped out of the earth. They then all floated above him as he was controlling it with his hand. All of them backed away in fright. The next moment though, with a simple snap of his finger, the spike shot outwards at blinding speed. It didn't hit them though. It went straight for all the civilians that were there, ripping them apart. The screams of the dead and dying could be heard. Bodies dropping in agony, those who were still clinging on to life. Kitsuki ran as he jumped upwards to stop him from causing any more mayhem, shooting powerful earth bullets towards the man, who simply stood there as the bullets were destroyed before they could reach him. Kitsuki was shocked before a wave of energy crashed into him like a tidal wave, its head vigorously slamming into the pavement. The person then landed right in front of the first shinobi, who swung at him with his hands. He blocked it though with general ease, before he slammed his fist into his gut. The shinobi collapsed to his knees, puking up so much blood by just one punch. Kitsuki couldn't understand just what the hell was going on. He then kicked him across the face. The kick looked common, but yet, his body was launched off the goddamn island. As for the others, he held his hand to the ground and punched his fist into it. When he pulled his hand up, the entire island shook vigorously, causing them all to stumble. He then slammed both of his hands into the ground. Spikes jetted out from where they were, impaling 10 in a second. Those who were lucky enough to escape death weren't lucky for much longer. Behind you, Kitsuki yelled, as he held his hand out and flames simply manifested in front of his hand. Said flames twist and turn into a massive beast. A beast of ferocious rage. It was a dragon. It consumed and incinerated them down to the last one. Kitsuki got to his feet as he reached into his pouch, pulling out the final remains of his explosives. Whoever this person was, he couldn't allow them to survive this, as he ran forward, even if it meant sacrificing his life, as he wouldn't allow them to do what they did here to the rest of his people, especially his daughter. He dashed forward. The person was cocky, he realized, when Kitsuki jumped and grabbed onto him and set the explosions off. The both of them were swallowed in a violent blast. Kitsuki blinked as he found himself on the ground, confusion marring his face. How am I alive? He voiced out his thoughts, not quite understanding what in the world was truly going on. I saved you. He turned towards the blonde, anger in his eyes to all the people that were killed. The blonde stepped towards him. Don't believe my saving you in thinking that I need you alive. I just didn't want you to be blown into pieces. The blonde held two fingers forward and spoke. Bikurai. Kitsuki's eyes widened as lightning ripped through his chest. Looking down, that was the last thing that he ever saw as he collapsed, face first dead. The blonde then moved forward and held his hand out as a blade formed in his hand. He then proceeded to slice Kitsuki's head clean off before he set the body ablaze. As Naruto gazed around, the once young and innocent boy, now ruthless, uncaring as he was, he held his hand out before he burned the bodies. But not only that, Naruto set the entire place afire. He burned all of the houses, everything that they formed. He turned them all into dust, leaving the island as it once was. But now the island was blooming more than ever before. He held his hand out as Chakra gathered in his palm before he shot his hand into the sky. The Chakra shot into the heavens before it went up in a bright light, signaling his comrades. Something started to descend down from the clouds, as something was heading their way as Naruto stood there. That is when it was revealed, a colossal city that was floating. It was large. The front of the city had a massive face situated there. Someone came descending down with a strange machine strapped to them, allowing them to fly. The person had white hair and a white beard as well, dressed in a red and silver clothing. As he landed, he looked around, looking at the head that Naruto was holding. It all begins today, my friend, he said. That it does, said Naruto. Get everyone settled in. I will be back soon. The man nodded. His name was Shino, and he was the leader of the Sky Nation. Well, there wasn't a Sky Nation anymore. A lot has happened in the past couple of years. With that, Naruto took off. As more shinobis from the land of Sky started to descend downwards, they possessed the ability to fly with the machines that were strapped to them. As Shino looked around at his people, but not just his though, many others. There is always karma in this world. Consequences to one's actions. And this world had no idea the monster that it created, as Shino looked towards a path that Naruto once stood at. Meanwhile, at the hidden stone, completely unaware that anything was even going on, Oniki was residing in his office, doing some paperwork when there was a knock on his door. His granddaughter was the one to enter. His granddaughter was a very talkative one, well, to him mostly. She desired to take his spot one day, and she wanted to become as strong as possible, but despite her young age, she was only 14 right now. She wanted all the dangerous scrolls to learn, dangerous techniques, something that she's been bugging him recently with, as she wanted to get stronger, follow in his footsteps and become the leader of their village. But he knew that she wasn't ready for that. As he was about to say something to her, someone arrived in the office. Oniki was caught off guard. The Unvus that were always watching over their leader immediately flanked out of their hidden position, weapons raised to kill this person, but before they could even make a move against him, spectral arms made from Chakra immediately grabbed them and threw them through the window like they were nothing. The person was immediately surrounded in Oniki particle style. Oniki wastes no time incinerating whoever this threat was. However, when the dust of the particle style went away, the person was now behind Oniki. Oniki froze up as he felt a hand resting on his shoulder. Despite his old age, he was quite short, so the person was taller than him. It was Naruto that stood behind him. Oniki did not dare move. Kurosaki wanted to make a move, but realizing how much danger her grandfather was in. But how was this even possible? How could someone sneak up on her grandfather? That just did not make any sense at all. As she tried to understand just who was this person. And the Unvus, as they raced back inside, a powerful barrier of chakra erupted from the individual, blocking them all out. I don't suggest doing anything stupid. There is no reason for me to kill you, but give me one, and you will surely die. Oniki was taken aback. I don't know who you are, he said, but you made a big mistake, youngster, because you won't be surviving this. Something was thrown to the table. Kurosaki couldn't help but release a scream as she saw her father's head residing on the table. All the others are dead as well. That island belongs to me. If you send any more of your people there, I will slaughter each and every one of them. This is just a warning. I do not care about whatever you believe or whatever you think from this moment on. But attack my people, and I will rain destruction and death upon this land like you've never seen before. As Naruto leaned over and whispered in his ear, the Uzumakis will never truly fall, he said. Oniki stiffened at those words as the person vanished away. He realizing now that it was a Uzumaki that did this. Kurosaki collapsed down to her knees, looking at her father's head. Oniki quickly moved towards her, as he decided to help her in these difficult moments instead of making a move against this person. The person was gone, he had no doubt about that, as the chakra fell, allowing the Unvus to return back. The mere fact that he was able to enter, get beyond their security just like that. Oniki was furious and humiliated. This wasn't something that he would allow to stand. As he looked down towards the head of his son-in-law, Oniki's daughter had died, leaving behind Kurosaki and her father. Oniki promised that he would never allow Kurosaki to face any more pain like that ever again. And to witness something like this, it truly angered him. Beyond he's ever been angered before. His rage was boiling. Meanwhile, The sky people descended upon the land. Them and many others. Hair colors of all kind, eyes of all kind. However, inside of the crowd you saw a few people that possessed dark red hair, light red hair. They were Uzumakis. Over the past couple of years, Naruto and his companion Asuna has been all over the elemental nation, and they've done a lot. They struck up a lot of deals and a lot of bargainings, and now they were here. Naruto arrived back on the Uzumaki island. He was traveling, and yet he was arriving so fast. Well, that was one aspect of things that had changed. Naruto had trained for an extreme amount over the past couple of years. But as you can see, his age did not match up with how many years passed. And there was a good reason for that. Asuna arrived on said island, along with a few others at her side. A 13-year-old girl known as Karin, along with her mother, and her younger brother. They were at the land of grass. It was a few years back that Naruto arrived there to see what those people were doing to her mother and what they planned to do to Karin if she acquired the same ability that her mother possessed, able to heal from a bite. Her younger brother was someone that Karin would give anything to protect, having lost their father, and she wanted to make sure that she would be able to protect him. Her mother told him to keep him safe. Their mother thought that she was going to die given that. The grass ninjas were using her for her special chakra. However, that all changed the day that he arrived. But that was not the story for now. They made their way towards Naruto when they saw him. Asuna smiled at him. "Is everything set?" she said. "Yes," said Naruto. "It's now your turn," said Naruto to her. She nodded. As the Uzumaki started to group up, all of them went to a different section of the island, their numbers being great enough to spread. Naruto watched them as Karin stood by his side. "I can't wait to see it." "Me too," the young boy said. His name was Renji Uzumaki. "Just a couple more minutes," Naruto said. "After all these years," said Karin, "we're finally gonna get a real home." Naruto looked down and smiled towards her. "Yes," he said. "And like I promised when we first met, I will ensure that you two are safe, no matter what. I'll ensure that everyone is safe," he said. Karin smiled hearing that. Naruto was literally their hero that saved them from the horrific life that they had to endure as the prisoners of that village. But that was a long time ago now, as her mother was simply smiling, free, no longer burdened by those marks, those bites. As she was talking with a few others, all of them, they couldn't wait. Once all the seals were set, Asuna arrived. As Naruto made his way to the dead center, he stood there as Asuna nodded towards him as everyone backed away as they made their way. Flying podiums arrived. As the people started got on it, it levitated them off the ground. There were a massive amount of them, allowing everyone to stand on them. Once that was said and done, Naruto was the only one left. He placed a seal down on the ground as he activated. The entire island was shrouded in a bright light. Yes, it was shrouded in a bright light. Everything came together. All of the seals that were placed all over the island, years of work finally came together as they all attached the seal in the center where Naruto stood. As Naruto watched as a requirement was needed, he made his way through hand sign, careful and calm, before he placed his hand down. Sacred art, creation release, recreation construct, Naruto said. Chakra came out of him like a faucet. The amount of chakra that it took was at least the 9 tail plus some. However, Having unlimited chakra, that wasn't a problem. If the ninth tail was completely used up to the point that its body was no longer visible, that was the amount of chakra that it took. However, this wasn't just any kind of chakra. Erupting out of the ground was massive structures, stone and wood coming together. The entire island started to shake. Everything started to connect. The island split open as the river beneath them. The seal was even affecting the water, creating a lush, beautiful stream. Everyone's eyes opened wide as they were in shock, watching the scene that was currently facing them at the moment, as they looked on with a pure, surprising display on their face. The entire island, everything enlarged. Buildings started to emerge. They couldn't believe what they were witnessing. Houses, hundreds upon hundreds of houses. The island itself connected to the other two, enlarging the entire place. The seal that Naruto was currently empowering was impossible for anyone else, but Naruto possessed unlimited chakra. Asuna had reached a level beyond their father in a couple of years. She had changed a lot. All of them had. She passed her father a long time ago because they had time, a lot of time, and in that time she had used it to reach a surprising growth in her Fuinjutsu, which allowed her to create this, completely mapping out how her former home had been. She reconstructed it in Fuinjutsu alone. However, the amount of chakra to rebuild everything would be impossible, not to mention the materials. However, Naruto was the key that was needed for all of that, because Naruto possessed the Mokiton, the wood release. There was a reason for that. That and many more. Buildings and construct rows. Buildings that would be used for hospitals, vendors, stalls, everything. They rose high into the sky. They all came together. It was phenomenal. Karin, Renji, all of them were beyond shock as they witnessed greatness in front of their eyes. Shino was even truly amazed as he looked down. That's the power of the Uzumaki for you, he thought to himself. Once everything was said and done, Naruto rose to his feet, having finally achieved what he set out to do, as the podiums finally came down, allowing the people to step up towards a marvelous land. Everything had been changed. It was like everything was brand new, which it was. The people there celebrated and cheered as they were overwhelmed. Time skip. Naruto was standing on top of one of the massive buildings as people were quickly getting to work. Asuna came up behind him and stood right by his side. "You did it," she said. "It wasn't me alone," said Naruto. "You had the dream. I simply made it a reality. And this time around, I won't allow anyone to take it away," said Naruto. "And we will all stand by your side no matter what." Asuna said. She had grown into a beautiful young woman, still a few years older than Naruto. She had turned into an incredible beauty, with her long flowing hair, curves in the right places. However, Naruto's growth spurt had put him above her, as he was taller. As the both of them stood there looking over the village, as they couldn't believe that they finally accomplished it. A few years ago, at the land of grass, lying down on a bed, she knew that she didn't have much longer in this world. Because of the battle raging with them and their foes, they were using her as much as they possibly can. Her name was Kale Uzumaki. She had 2 children, Karin and Renji. All she hoped was that they weren't going to develop the same ability that she did. She didn't want them to be used like she was. For the longest time now, they have been hiding their identity. The members here found out about it a long time ago, when they were fleeing from an area where they were found out. Her husband sacrificed himself to make sure they survive, knowing that the special ability that they possess, people were after them, and they were taken in by the grass. But it was just a sham. Upon learning just how special they were, they started to use her. She tried to fight back at first, but they threatened her children, so she had no choice. For the past couple of years, she has been their source of healing their ninjas whenever they were wounded. Whenever something tragic happened, she was always in the center of it, healing their people. And there wasn't anything she could do about it, otherwise they would hurt her children. However, they taken too much away from her, and they did not care. All they cared about was that their ninjas are healthy, and it was slowly killing her. As she could feel that she was not long for this world, but she was just afraid the state that her children would be in after she was gone. As she looked up to the heavens, praying to any deity that was out there to help her children, to protect them, to watch over them, to keep them safe. Kale heard a sound. The next moment, the wall was ripped out, pulled. As this commotion caused the door to her right to open as a few grass ninja entered. They immediately tried to attack, however, someone with red hair dashed forward and immediately incapacitated them. With just a touch, it was a Fuinjutsu marker that completely took them out of the running. Kale then turned her head as she saw a blonde. He seemed to be 14 years old as he stepped towards her. Upon seeing the condition that she was in, she saw the anger in his eyes. He placed his hand on her. The next moment, Kale felt her entire body rejuvenated with energy, her life force being infused. Her eyes snapped open as she pulled herself up. "Huh, who are you?" she said. "I'm Naruto Uzumaki." And that's Asuna Uzumaki, said Naruto. Asuna stepped forward. "They're coming. Where are the others?" "The others?" "The other Uzumaki," Asuna said. "There's just 2 more. My children," she said. How did you know about us?" she asked. "That's a long story that we don't have time for." "Where are they?" Naruto asks. "They're being kept somewhere secure. They're being used against me in order to use me." Naruto turned his gaze as the rest of the others rushed inside. He turned and thrust his hand out. A violent wind pressure reduced them and the entire front of the building to rubbles. "Let's go," said Naruto. The ninjas were caught off guard. Despite hearing the explosions, the grass ninjas had no idea where the attack was coming from. All they knew were they were being attacked. From where? They had no idea. However, it came down like a calamity. Bodies were dropping like flies. They were being ripped apart. Powerful techniques that were bringing down entire buildings, collapsing on them. It was violent. It was brutal. It was gory. Bloody. Both Karin and Renji were terrified as Karin clutched onto her little brother with all of her might, with the sole purpose of keeping him safe, as she held him close, putting herself in front of him just in case. When the bars of the cell that they were in were ripped off, Kale rushed inside. The both of them were shocked to see their mother this healthy. "Mom," they said, as she hugged the both of them. Naruto felt the others coming. Asuna turned towards him. "They're coming." "Watch over them," said Naruto. Asuna looked towards him. "Don't worry," said Naruto. "I understand what must be done." Naruto stepped outside. Like a walking natural disaster. No one saw his face. Those who did not live to tell a soul. Around 80% of this village population that were ninjas were eviscerated piece by piece. It was a calamity that we'll still talk about to this very day. And no one knew what happened. No one could tell because no enemies were slain. They were all just eviscerated. In the flashback, That was only one of their great venture that they took to find the others. Asuna had mapped out everything that would have led to the Uzumakis. However, they spent one whole year without any success until they finally got a lead. The Sky Nation. Yes, the Sky Nation. Something that was said to have fallen after the Uzumaki's attack. It was a few years after. The Sky Nation was a place that wanted to take over. What many people did not know was the Sky Nation and the Uzumaki clan was great friends. Who do you think created the seals that allow their machines to work? Before they got all high tech, it was the Uzumakis. The both of them were isolated countries of people, not large as great nations, but because of their special tool and their way of fighting, they were rather powerful. However, the Sky Nation was defeated by Konoha and a few others a few years back, and they were said to have been destroyed. However, Asuna and Naruto searched until they met Shino. At first, his goal was to kill them, believing that they were going to blow everything. However, they did not trust him or know who he was, so they weren't about to tell him anything that they were going to do. They wouldn't reveal their plans to him. He led them into a trap that would have killed many others, but these weren't average. When Naruto threatened to rip him apart right there and then, to use his words as a distraction, he told them that he knew everything regarding the Sky Nation. It was then that Shino realized that he had it all wrong. Because of their disguise, he wasn't able to see Asuna's hair. Upon learning that they were Uzumakis, he was shocked. Because there were some Uzumakis within the Sky Nation. When the calamity happened, when the destruction happened, the ones that were able to get through the underground passageway, they were only able to get through because two other Uzumaki sacrificed their life to keep it open as their bodies were crushed. That is why Asuna found the bones there. Yes, it was the two Uzumakis that sacrificed themselves. Over the years, they had children. However, they kept their identity a secret. The Sky Nation resided within a small village. They too kept their identity a secret as they regrouped over the years. Their main fortress was hidden away from all prying eyes, while they reside in a small village, keeping everything a secret along with the Uzumakis that resided there, who had had children over the past couple of years, which led to a large group of them. Nothing massive as what they once were, but it was still a growing progress. There was one person that was leading them, the oldest of the faction. When Asuna saw the person, she was shocked. Flashback. Shino led them towards the area where his people resided. While Shino was doing this, Shino had a darker purpose he wanted to use. A beast known as Zero Tails, to harness the dark energy to empower himself. After all, he wanted revenge. So Shino was using many people, but this could prove to be something that was greater than he could ever imagine. However, upon bringing them there, the woman was shocked. She was old and shocked when she saw Asuna. Asuna looked towards the woman and she couldn't believe it. Lady Chiyoko, she said. Asuna rushed towards the woman to give her a hug. Chiyoko had tears in her eyes as she hugged the young girl. Naruto was confused. Asuna knew her. Yes, Chiyoko was a great friend of her father's. With her not having a mother, Chiyoko was there for her, always watching over her, teaching her everything she needed to know, that things that her father could not teach her regarding being a young lady. Chiyoko was like a mother to her. Asuna couldn't believe that she was alive. But it wasn't just her though. There was a few others that she knew as well. They were all shocked when they saw her, confused on who Naruto was, but Asuna was the one to speak to them. Asuna spoke to each and every one of them, telling them who Naruto was and what they desired to do. By this time, Naruto and Asuna had traveled the world. And the more time they spent on the road, the more it changed Naruto. And Asuna saw it as well. It was the first time when he ruthlessly slaughtered the entire group without hesitation. When they went to visit the land of Wave. And there was a few who believed that the village was out for the take because there was no one here to protect it. After staying there for a couple of weeks, Kage and the others were so happy to see them, as they learned that Naruto's journey had been fruitful. And Naruto also told them what he desired to do. The other Uzumakis were not sure, afraid about stepping back into the light, afraid that this time they will all be snuffed out. However, Naruto showed the determination that he has. He showed the configuration, he showed the passion that he had to bring them back to a new home, to show them that they would never fall again. He flexed his power to show them all. In that moment, they felt it. The overwhelming presence of security, that they would be protected. The lessons of the Uzumakis have not fallen over the years. The children has learned greatly. So yes, while the Uzumakis did not want to fight, still afraid of the past, having Asuna back knowing that their village was still intact and that someone was going to make a big difference of that, it brought that spirit back. It also brought the feeling of revenge for those who wronged them, for those who stripped them of everything that they once were. And Naruto made a promise to them that this time, no one, absolutely no one would ever harm them. However, it wasn't just the Uzumakis. Naruto and Asuna's travels had led them to meet a lot of people. Thus as Zabuza and Haku, two that fled from their home, that had nowhere to go. And now, Zabuza and Haku was with them. That was a rather difficult transfiguration to them joining them. Asuna and Naruto had been caught up in a battle. However, this battle was not something that they should be a part of. Zabuza and Haku were there because what they were protecting was a person that was currently helping Naruto and Asuna to find the rest of the Uzumakis. But Zabuza's goal was to kill them. The problem was he underestimated Naruto, and he almost died. Haku did not hesitate to die for Zabuza. However, Naruto did not kill them. Instead, he realized that this was what they needed, this kind of loyalty. And they didn't have a home. Naruto decided to make them a proposition, one that they could not refuse. It wasn't just them though, it was many others. Even a few missing ninjas. Missing ninjas that did not hesitate to stab each other in the back. Now respectfully bow down to Naruto as a leader. He was young. He was only 17 years old, and yet he has accomplished so much already. How was he even 17 the last time? We saw him, he was just 7 years old, and only 6 years has passed, he should be 13 years old. However, as stated before, Asuna had surpassed her father. She simply used the same principle that her father used to create the library. It was on a different plane of existence. Yes, however, Asuna wasn't able to restrict time for much longer than she wanted to. You see, she was able to create a space similar to what her father did with her father notes. In order to give them more time, time flowed differently inside of this space. She called it a hyperbolical time chamber. Not only was time flowing differently in there, the gravity was increased, everything about it was aimed to fit someone training regime. It could be programmed by the seals that she created to make this space itself. Asuna has surpassed any other Uzumaki in terms of Fuinjutsu. After all, she was now in her early 20s. Naruto was 17, almost 18 in fact. In a couple of weeks, he will be 18 years old. The both of them had spent a lot of time in there. Inside, time was much longer than it was outside. She was actually working on actually slowing down the process even more, to make time even much more slower, but bending and manipulating space and time was not easy even for her, as she's reached a new state of members of the Fuinjutsu understanding, a state that none has ever reached in the past. She never thought that she would be a teacher, as there was many that weren't Uzumakis that actually were fit for the Fuinjutsu training, and Asuna was passing that lesson on. At the moment, as the both of them stood there, having done so much in the past couple of years, and there was still so much for them to do. The years had changed Naruto greatly, the kind of person that he was. Never a violent person in the past, however, Naruto had seen things that broke his mind. Literally, the way the world was. And he realized that he couldn't afford to be innocent and naive anymore. So he trained, he killed, to protect the ones that he cared about, and now, Naruto was confident enough in his strength to step into any nation and wage war against them without any repercussions. Because he did not fear a single soul in this entire world. And he wouldn't allow them to strip his loved ones away from him, the people that he've come to care about so much. Now they would start to rebuild their nations. Now they will start to grow with their comrades. After all, just gathering people for his home was not the only thing that Naruto has done. There was so much more that was kept under wraps, and it was about to be revealed right now. But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want to see next part and do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the other what ifs on the other channels. I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. The links will be down in the description, so go ahead, check them out, and yeah, enjoy. And don't forget I post a new episode of What If Naruto Was Magaraga Reincarnation, so go ahead, check out that and enjoy. But I'm out for now, see you guys soon, peace.